See, time and space are constructions by God. We call them reality because for us, it is our reality. So we have to take time and space seriously. I looked at the clock a little over an hour ago and I go, oops, it's a couple minutes to 10. Got to get, I got to pay attention to time. Although I love to get outside of time. One of my great joys in life is when I paint, when I meditate, I can get outside of time for a little while, but that's another story. So we live, as Jesus explained to me, we live in a nursery school. We're babies. We're little children. So we have time and space in our minds, in our reality. It's linear. Okay. If you ask someone what is space, it's point to point to point to point. Now, a point has no dimension, right? It's a location, but it doesn't have width, height, depth. It's just a location. And so we see space from point to point to point to point. And then we give those names, inches, yards, miles, whatever, light years. And we think that's reality. We do the same thing with time, and God's world and God's mind, God understands how we see reality, but that's not God's reality. In other words, God sees the past, the present, and the future in a continuous way. It's all, and God, it's he understands that. Like the interesting thing about our point of view is that we live in a delusion. Our reality is all a delusion because, first of all, if you're a rational human being, you know that your understanding of the past that you experienced is all colored by your mind, by your emotions. I'll just use one illustration. My father was a very, very cruel man, very emotionally disturbed man. But because of my life review with Jesus, I came to understand that my father wanted to be loved. My father wanted to be a good man, but because of his distorted upbringing, he just had it all upside down and backwards. He thought love was control and power and telling people what to do and stuff like that. And it's like, it's not love. When I look at my own experience, when I was a child, I lived for the summertime. And when the school year came into the spring and I was looking forward to the summer, the days were so long. And then the summer came, and when the summer was over, I thought, oh, it was so short, it was so brief. The 3 months that I was free from school and played all day, that was like the most wonderful days of my life, but it went too fast. And then, when you think about graduating and going to high school and college and graduate school, you're always looking towards our whole understanding of time, our whole understanding of space. We just drove from North Carolina back to Kentucky. That was a 10-hour drive. Oh man, I'm telling you, it took forever. It was a lifetime coming home. I don't know if you ever noticed, when you're trying to get home, it takes so long to get home.
Yeah.
I just want to be home. I just want to go home. And, we've got 4 more hours of driving. Oh no. if you think about your understanding of the past, it's all distorted. And you have to appreciate the distortion of the emotions. When you think about the future, your future is a complete fiction. We this morning, just before you called, we had thunder and lightning and rain. And two of the dogs are terrified of thunder. They're terrified. So they were all over me, and you can't, it's very hard to comfort a dog when they're afraid. And I can't explain to them, you don't need to worry. It's going to be okay. You know, it's going to pass. Well, the thunder and lightning stopped, and, you know, and now they're sleeping and they're happy. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's, you know, one thing I learned from my near-death experience, I was 38 years old. My life was going very well.
Yeah.
And then, bang, I'm in a hospital dying, just like that. In Paris, of all places. I mean, Paris. In my book, My Descent to Death, I've been in a Paris, City of Lights. I mean, to me, being in Paris was like, this is the most wonderful place in the whole world. Paris is the height of civilization. Nothing bad can happen in Paris, right? And like in a hospital dying. It's like, I kept thinking to myself, how can this be happening? This can't happen. You know, and it is happening. And they're like, how can it happen? The future is a complete fiction. Of course, we should plan for the future. Of course, we should plan for the future. We should be hopeful about the future. One of our jobs as pastors, one of my jobs is to give people hope about the future. And of course, I think the Bible is a book of hope, and it's very disturbing when people turn the Bible into a book of fear and apprehension about the future. I just want to say the book of Revelation is ultimately about God is in control, and God is going to create a paradise in this world. Don't worry about the future. You know, don't. Yeah. So anyways, so I talked about the past, I talked about the future. What's the present? The present is the present. The minute you think about the present is already the past. And if you think about the present in terms of the future, you're thinking make-believe. You hope, but that's where faith comes in. Because my life, my present, my future is in the hands of God. And you know what? It's all good. Even when the bad things happen in my life, I know that God, all things work for God's good purpose for those who love God. So when something bad happens to me, I am trying to think in my rational mind, not my emotional mind, what's God's purpose in this? Why did God put this obstacle, you know, this problem in my way? And I try and think about, what does God want me to do with this? How does God want me to respond? You know,